Hey, this is Rich over at TVP Live with another quick tips tutorials brought to you by Photoshop Elements Custom Tutorials Group. And let's jump right in with today's poster. Wanted to know how to make this bag look more black. As you can see, it looks kind of gray. And what happens is when you have a lower quality camera taking a photo of a bag, it's going to create its own light to try to make it bright enough for a photo. But what happens is the color is not accurate. This is supposed to be black, not gray. And the other problem is in coloring this is that it's low quality. And how you can tell is, do you see this meringue, these lines? If I zoom in, you're going to see how low quality this really is. Look at those dots everywhere. This is digital artifacting going on here. Not only that, the separation between the edge and the background is terribly messy and noisy. So it's a terrible photo of a really nice bag. Now, if you want to make the bag black, there's a couple ways to do it. Traditionally, what you'd want to do is use a tool that grabs the bag for you. For instance, you could go to Select and go to Subject. The problem is that it's not very accurate. If I zoom in, you're going to see it's grabbing part of the wall, so that's not going to work for us very well. I'm going to go ahead and undo that. You can also try the Magic tool and try to cut. I can hold the shift down to choose more parts, and you see this is going to be grabbing all kinds of weird stuff. That doesn't look so well, so I'm going to undo that. And in this case, what I'm going to have to do is actually cut out the object myself. So before I do that, I'm going to right click up here and duplicate it, because we're going to need a spare version in the background for the background. So I'm going to turn that background off, and so we just have our foreground original. And what I want to do is cut this object out manually. Now you could use the polygon tool and you could draw a polygon, but when you zoom in, you see what happens is these lines are really fuzzy. You can't use a sharp polygon like this to cut out something that's fuzzy, because if I hit delete, you see that the lines are going to be really fuzzy like that too. You want the lines to be soft, just like the original photo is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an eraser, come down here, and the original brushes here are the sharp brushes. You don't want that, so I'm going to click down here and scroll down to the soft round brushes, something like a 5-point. And now it'll make it easier for me to draw out the actual subject matter. And I can just do like this, and I'm basically clicking. I can click here, hold the shift down, and click up here, and that helps me get rid of everything that I want. And then, or I can just do it by hand like this. And you see those edges are nice and soft, just like the original photo is. I can click here, hold the shift down, and click over here, and that gets rid of a whole line at a time. Then I can come back here and just manually paint with the eraser all the black out. It takes a little bit of elbow grease, and it might take 5 minutes to do this, but you know what? It's well worth it in the end when you get a nice photo exactly the way you want it. Once I get to where I started, I can just close that out and take a look at what we did. We pretty much made an outline of the whole thing. Now there's portions here that I kind of don't want to make dark. Let's say, for instance, this tag here and these metal zipper openings. So I'm going to come back in and I'm going to draw out these. Now, if I really want to keep the color of these original zipper snaps, I can always make them their own layer by taking the polygon tool and make sure it's the lasso tool. And I can actually make these their own layer by drawing these out, by creating a lasso around all of them like this. And I'll double click, and what I'll do is right click and hit cut. And you see up here, it made a new layer, and that way it's on its own complete separate layer. I'm going to scroll down and do the same thing with the tag here. In between here, I'll double click at the end and it makes the marching ants. I'll right click and hit cut. Of course, it's giving me a warning because I'm on the wrong layer. I'm going to need to come down to that original layer, and then I can right click and hit cut. And that created its own layer. Now I can turn everything off except for those three layers of the portions that I don't want to change the color. I can always merge those together by clicking on the bottom layer, hold the shift, click on the top layer. That selects all three layers. I can right click anywhere in the middle and hit merge layers, and that makes all of those portions their own layer. Now I'm going to turn those off. I'm going to turn this original layer back on, and let's get rid of the bag. So I can take that same polygon tool and draw a series of lines hitting the left mouse button, and just make sure that you don't hit anything beyond that portion there. You want to stay within those gray background boxes, the transparency. Otherwise, this effect is not going to work. And once we get closer to the end here, all we got to do is close up this polygon over here. I'm going to double click. That closes the loop of the whole polygon. So when I hit delete, boom, the bag disappears. So everything is gone that we want to change the color, but not everything. Where are the snaps? They're up here. We turned them off. So once we turn them back on, there they are. So that's how we can grab just the bag. This is the old-fashioned way, but you know what? It's still the best way to do this. Where is our background, you might ask? Well, guess what? We got it in here when we first started the whole project by making a copy. That's our background. So when I turn that back on, what it's going to do is turn the bag, the original color of the bag, underneath everything, which is on this checkerboard. There's our background. Here's our foreground. You can't tell the difference because we haven't changed the color of anything yet. So all we got to do is click on that background and change the color to our heart's desire. Watch this. I'm going to go to Enhance, Lighting, Brightness, and Contrast. Now check this out. The brightness, I can make it really dark, and it's changing just the bag, not the background, not the snaps, or the name tag, or I can make it much brighter. Look at that, almost into a white bag. Or I can do the contrast, bring the contrast really low or bring the contrast really high. Another way to do that is to go over to Enhance, Lighting, and Levels. This way you can actually adjust just the light levels or the dark levels within the bag. For instance, the little black triangle just affects the darks, so I can darken just the darks of the bag. And you can see all that white shimmery from the meringue stays the same. Or I can come up here at the top and just adjust the lights, the light levels, and make it brighter. I can't make it darker because it's already at this point here. Or you can grab the middle, which is kind of a mixture of the two, and adjust it lighter one way, or adjust it darker the other way. But we can also adjust the output levels and grab just the blacks here and make them lighter, or grab just the whites, which is that shimmery we want a little bit darker, and we can bring those down like this, which is exactly what we want, but we don't want to lose too much definition. So here's the before, that's the original, here's the after, before, after. And I think that's what you're looking for. I'm going to hit OK. And all you got to do is save this as a JPEG, and there you have it. Well, this is Rich calling it quits for this tutorial. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And we're calling it quits, saying over and out.